Hi, in this tutorial we'll learn to navigate in and out on Ableton Live. This is what Ableton Live looks like when it appears on your screen. On the top left corner over here, this is called the tempo area. Assuming that you know what link follow tap switch is, I'm going to skip that part. Here, Ableton will display the global tempo of a project. Right now, it is set to 130 BPM, and you can adjust the tempo by clicking here in this area and scrolling it downwards or upwards. Or you can simply type in your desired tempo and press enter. Right next to it, you have nudge switches over here. Then you have time signature, metronome, and global quantization. Next to the tempo area, this is where transport section is, or this is called the transport area. The first switch over here is called follow action switch. When this switch is enabled, Ableton will behave according to your follow action preferences. This is where the beat clock is displayed on Ableton Live. Right next to it, you have three buttons over here: play, stop, and record. Next to it, you have plenty of options to manipulate MIDI track or a MIDI clip in the session window. Next to it, you have the loop area where you can set your loop from here, and you can enable or disable your loop selection by clicking here on this particular switch. Or you can simply press Command L from the arrangement window to enable your loop selection. Here on the top right corner, as you can see, there are a few switches over here. The first switch is the draw mode switch. When this switch is enabled, you can start drawing automation on a particular clip or in the arrangement window, as you can see here. You can enable this draw mode switch by simply right clicking on this clip and selecting or deselecting draw mode from here. Or you can simply press B on your computer keyboard and draw mode will now be enabled. The next switch here is the computer keyboard switch. When this switch is enabled, you can start drawing or writing MIDI notes on a particular MIDI clip. As you can see here, this is now enabled. I'm quickly going to go here onto MIDI track. And as you can see here, I can now start writing MIDI notes from my computer keyboard. We'll cover these topics extensively during our MIDI session. The next switch here is the key switch. When this switch is enabled, you can assign any of these parameters to a specific key on your keyboard. Let's say I want to assign this MIDI clip to my computer keyboard. I'm going to select this MIDI clip here and press any key on my computer keyboard. As you can see, now this MIDI clip is assigned to the numeric key 0 on my computer keyboard. When I press 0 on my computer keyboard, this clip will start to play. Okay. The next switch here is the MIDI switch. When I enable this particular switch, as you can see, there are several parameters that are highlighted. Let's say I want to assign this volume control fader to a specific fader on my MIDI device. I'm going to select this fader over here and go back to my MIDI device and tweak the fader that I want this particular parameter to be assigned to. As you can see here, this fader is now assigned to a fader on my MIDI device. Now I can control this parameter from my MIDI controller. As you can see here, okay, this is where Ableton will display the CPU usage. This is also called the CPU usage meter. In the drop-down menu, there are several options here, and you can also configure your audio inputs and outputs from the drop-down menu. On the left-hand side over here, this is called the browser window. All the sounds, drums, instruments, audio effects, MIDI effects, Max for Live, plugins, clips, samples, grooves, templates will be listed over here. This is the search bar for the browser window, and you can search any of your sounds, instruments, audio effects, samples, MIDI effects, plugins by simply typing in your search over here. This is where you will have the preview of the sound. As you can see here, this over here is the session view on Ableton. This is also called the live window or the mixer window. Okay, so now here, if you want to create or insert a MIDI track or audio track, you can do it by right-clicking here, insert audio track or MIDI track. Or you can simply press Command T on your computer keyboard to create a new audio track. Or Command Shift T to create a new MIDI track, as you can see here. To create a return track, you can simply right click here and insert return track. Or you can press Command Option T on your computer keyboard to create a new return track, as you can see here. Okay. So now as you can see, on every individual channel or a track, you have few options over here. So as you can see, on a MIDI track, you have MIDI from all instruments. So whenever you're recording a particular MIDI clip, it will be recording from all the instruments that are connected to your computer. And as you can see, you can configure the inputs from here, and I'm going to select all channels from here. Let's say I have two different MIDI devices connected to my computer, and I want to record MIDI clips from both of it at once. So I can simply select all channels from here. Monitoring is set to auto as of now, as you can see here, and the MIDI output is going to no output. Okay, and that's because you do not have any instrument over here. So let's say you want to add an instrument to a MIDI track. I'm quickly going to go here in the browser window, select the instruments folder, and select the instrument that I want. Okay, so let's say I want to add electric on my MIDI track. So as you can see here, the instrument is now added on the MIDI track that I have. Similarly, you can add audio effects from here. Now, as you can see here, the audio is now going to master. Okay. All the return tracks that you have created will be shown over here on the right side. As you can see, it is labeled as A reverb and B delay. And these two knobs over here represents the return tracks that we have in the project. As you can see, it is labeled as A, B. This is the volume control fader over here. As you can see, this over here is the panning knob. You can pan your audio to left or right according to your preferences. You can deactivate the track by clicking here. This switch over here is to solo a particular track. That means only this track will be played. This over here is the record button. Okay. On the extreme right side of the session view, there's a track that is labeled as master. This is the master track. Everything that you have in the session will be going to this particular track. And this will be the combination of all the tracks that you have here, including the return tracks. Now, if you're looking at this switch over here with three horizontal lines, is to toggle between session view and arrangement view. When I click here, it will take me to the arrangement view. As you can see here, this is what arrangement view looks like. So the two tracks that we have will be listed over here. This is the scrub area over here, and this is the time ruler. On a MIDI track, you can simply double click to create a new MIDI clip. And to record audio here, you can start recording by arming this record button and by clicking here, as you can see. The return tracks will be listed over here, and the master track is over here. Arrangement window is the time-based window. As you can see, you can arrange your tracks from here. And there is a key command to toggle between arrangement window and session window. You can press tab on your computer to toggle between these two views. As you can see here, that concludes everything. This is all you need to know about navigation for now. See you in the next tutorial.